Hello and welcome. You've reached the Results with Ronnie podcast series, episode 13. I am Ronnie Walker, your master coach of exceptional relationships and sex. ResultsWithRonnie.com and MrRelationshipMan.com. Tonight, I have a very special treat, and this is something that I've been waiting for and for some time. And this is someone who I consider a very dear and close personal friend. She is, even the way we met was incredible. And it's a story in and of itself that I'm sure later on down the line that we'll both keep you in suspense as to how that came about. Or maybe we'll both sell it for our best-selling novels that we'll probably come out with later on in our life. But she now has a show that's going to be launching that I truly believe is a niche that is not being talked about. It's something that's not being discussed, something being shared, and I can't think of a more pivotal time in society today that what she's going to be covering, not just in the launching episode, which is pivotal in itself, but also moving forward in the subjects that she's going to cover. When I can tell you, we have discussed these subjects and then some for hours and hours on end. And even with the times we have opposing views, we do understand that, because what we've realized as both a man and a woman is that we can still get to the same destination even though we're taking different paths. And so before the launch of this show that's going to happen, I'm going to let her give you more details. I really want to make the time and take advantage of my friendship, of course, to be the first to interview her. And I truly believe that you are going to appreciate not just the show, but you're going to appreciate the person that she is and what she's looking to do. So without any further ado, let me introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, DianaJ. Hello, Diana. How are you doing?
I am good, Ronnie, my friend. I'm so excited to be with you this evening on your program in your podcast home with your podcast audience. I can't tell you, I'm so excited that this moment has finally come, that we get to share on a platform like this.
Thank you. And let me make it known in front of everybody, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you, the person and friend. And I am honored just to be a person who's privy and having the opportunity to introduce you in this manner. So you know me, I can wax on and on and on about you and the wonderful person I think that you are. But what I would like to do, instead of reading from some prepared paper, why don't we just let you go and tell the people what you want to know about DianaJ, the person?
Oh, wow. Well, let me first of all just start off again, by saying how mutual the feeling is in regards to our friendship, our partnership in work. And, it has really been an enriching and valuable friendship, because as you had mentioned earlier, I love the fact that you and I can talk for hours in regards to all the dynamics of relationships and things between men and women. And yes, sometimes we're on two different ends of the spectrum, but yet still we can come right back and meet somewhere in the middle. But so I do appreciate you, and I appreciate your friendship. But back to your question about me. So I guess number one, some of you, I'm new to some of your audience. Some of your audience I may not be new to. And those that do know of me or maybe have met me somewhere along the line, I have to smile, because I know that, they know the professional side of DianaJ, more known as Diana Joseph. So, I have I own a real estate brokerage that I opened in 2012. As a female, as a Black woman. And, I spent 20 something years in real estate and corporate America. And again, my brokerage is still, definitely active. And then I've held the position of chair of housing for the NAACP for Orange County, Florida, since 2017. Began as a member of the NCBW, National Congress of Black Women, in 2018. So these circles
Hmm.
know me, Ronnie, as the professional, very articulate, intelligent Diana. What they don't know, and this platform is about, and this show is about to introduce to them, which is why I smile, is authentically who Diana is, the core of who I am. So, so it's going to be very interesting to watch the reactions and how people kind of respond to me.
Hmm.
I think they're going to be surprised because again, the purpose of the platform is based upon my own experiences, my own challenges, and trying to find balance in my own life between my spiritual journey and my human journey in life, in love,
Hmm.
in business. I wanted to create a platform to help bring balance in the questions that the majority of us do have, but a lot of us are afraid to ask.
Okay. Okay. Now, as you were talking about your resume on a professional level, you have to, at least I'm going to assume, you reflect on this journey that you're taking on now and how one would think they're polar opposites. Now, of course, knowing me, I can tie anything to anything. So,
Mm-hmm.
if I may ask, and for those I'm sure that I'm not the only one thinking this, what was the inspiration? What was it? Or was there a defining moment? Was it a conversation? Was an epiphany and a dream that says, hey, I know this is what I've done professionally. Well, let me now go down this avenue where I'm going to open myself up and open up a platform that is going to discuss love, relationship, sex on the level in which you're looking to discuss. Was there a particular thing that happened in your life, past or present?
Actually, yes. There was a very, very defining moment that I can remember that took place 2 years ago. And, leading up to that journey, I want the audience, to understand that, I know they see the images. I know they see the pictures. I know they will be seeing the platform. But I want them to understand the person that I am behind that. And I am just like
Hmm.
many, many women out there. And in my journey, I've experienced what many, many women have experienced out there. I've experienced the moments of feeling, infatuated with someone, loving someone, getting hurt by someone, feeling rejected by someone, wanting to be with someone, but they didn't want to be with you. Trying to understand and find balance in, my career as a woman. Trying to understand men better. There were just so many things that I seemed to have been experiencing. And one of the things that has always been a part of me from very young is the fact that I have always been open to another point of view or a better understanding. And, going back to your question, 2 years ago, or a little bit more than 2 years ago, I had gone through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And that divorce was actually, I would say, my pivoting moment. And it really just catapulted my growth in the last 2 years of my journey, which actually is where this show was birthed, literally within the last 2 years.
Okay.
So to summarize, what you're asking me, Ronnie, literally 2 years ago, I came to the end of myself. And when I say that, I became, I came to the end of myself as a woman, just tired of, kind of not knowing what direction to go to, or, in relationships, and just feeling like, what am I doing wrong? What needs to change? What needs to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was a real moment, a conversation that I had with God, who I call the creator, because it reminds me that I am just a creation.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to
Okay.
have a conversation with the creator, and basically it went, I can remember the moment in time, and I said, you know what, I give up. I said, obviously I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I do know that as a creation, all answers are within you, the creator. You understand me more than I understand myself. So direct me, show me, tell me what I'm doing wrong, show me, and I'll just do it right. So at that very moment, like I said, about 2 years ago, is, just my knowledge, my wisdom. I just felt like I started to get, download after download after download. And again, like I said, part of that download was the birth and the ideas of this show. And every avenue, every opportunity, every door, no matter what direction I went into, I honestly didn't have a choice. It kept pointing me to the direction of, you need to do this show. You need to do this show.
Okay.
So that's kind of, I would say was the moment, the aha moment for me. And so many things have taken place in my life leading up to these last 2 years.
That's interesting. Yeah, and the reason I ask is because in a lot of cases, be it men or women, when they have certain moments in their life, especially when they've reached a particular age, they would first think to go write a book. Or they'll do Facebook Lives or some sort of social media platforms where they're going, you just went straight to, I'm going to create a show around this. So is it safe to assume that you believe that there are many women of your generation that feel the same way?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Again, I'm 52 years old, so even when I stepped out back into the dating space and so on, after my last divorce a few years ago, God, it was different. It was just so different. And then what was really discouraging for me, and I heard this from men and women, is that the mindset, even in our, generation, I kept saying to myself, we're the generations of the grandparents, and we are supposed to be the ones giving our children and our young adults and our grandchildren advice about life and about love and about relationships. But how can we do that when we're struggling with communicating and even understanding each other? And again, particularly for me as a Black woman in the Black community. And I didn't like the negativity of what men were saying and thinking about women. And I didn't like the negativity of what women, were saying about men. And, I just said, there is a better way. And I felt that I was being led in the direction to open a platform that we could honestly have discussions about what the hell is
Right.
going on out here and what do we need to do to fix it.
Wow. So, in short, what you did was instead of complaining about the problem, you created what you feel is a solution to something that we all are looking to find. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, because, you know, I was so excited. And you probably can even hear it in my voice because let me tell you, this has become such a passion for me. But I was so excited by my enlightenment and the change in my perception and perspective on men and on relationships. I was so excited about this, I could hardly contain myself. And I just wanted other women to know, and I wanted other men to know. And what I found more than anything else, and even today, is that men and women really don't believe in true love anymore. They think it's a fairy tale. They don't believe in marriage. And I was really disheartened by that because regardless of my own bad choices, wrong choices, immaturity in decisions, I still realized all the time they were still my choices. And knowing that it was my choices, I was never discouraged that there wasn't a better way. I just had to learn and understand a little bit more what needed to happen in order for me to draw and embrace true love and
Mm-hmm.
a healthier relationship and, a healthier, male, friendships. I had to learn and be open to my own flaws and transparent with myself. And like I said, it really just has been a journey where I can't stop talking about it. And I'm like, okay, we got to talk about this
Right.
and more on this platform.
Wow. That's great. What I hear from you is that the transparency in admitting that some of those decisions are in fact your decisions. I mean, these are your choices that you made. And what I also notice, and this is something that I've realized about you, Don, and for the many conversations that we've had over the time, is you learned your lessons and you didn't come away bitter or angry at men.
Oh, God, no. Oh, no.
And that is what, and it's easy because we are friends for me to say a whole bunch of wonderful things about you. But this is, if I'm going to be honest, because this is a show that's going to be unfiltered and honest and saying people saying whatever they feel they need to say to get the point across. But this is something that when people ask, well, Ronnie, is there really a market for dating coaches and relationship coaches? And I'm going, we look at the divorce rates, what you tell me. And even as you mentioned, going back into the dating world is one of the biggest challenges that a number of my clients deal with is getting back into the dating after 10, 15, 20 years of marriage. And the fear, the terror that these men and women have because they do realize the rules of engagement have changed. But I've always first talked about is making sure that they believe that that person is still out there. And if you have a bitter mindset or an angry mindset, then you've already defeated yourself before you even started. And that was something that I picked up from you just from this conversation, is that you didn't. So help the others who don't know you what you did so that you came away from a more positive perspective from your past choices going back into the dating world.
Well, first of all, you know, I have to always expand on some of the words that I choose when explaining myself, because what has happened in our society, a lot of words that really have a lot of value to them have become cliches and have devalued. So I have to be careful how, and, some of the words that I choose, and sometimes expand on what I mean. But when we talk about not being bitter, but being better, one of the things that I discovered in my journey that, and one of the reasons I walked away better and not bitter, because again, like I told you, once I had that aha moment with me and, the Creator, I realized that everything begun and ended with me in my journey. Not that the Creator didn't have a powerful center in my life, but yet still, because we are, free moral agents, He did not create us to be robots. He loved us so much that He wanted us to have the ability to make better choices. And in order for us to make better choices, He had to give us the option to make choices. So understanding all of that, I realized that it all circled around me. So when I looked at my exes, and I'm talking about in marriage and in dating, I had to be honest with myself. Why did I even start dating them? Why did I marry them? Because there was something about these men that really attracted me, something that I really loved about them. But in the journey of trying to create and build a relationship or a marriage with them, there were things that just was not working. Now, was it his fault or was it my fault? You know what? We could talk about some surface things that maybe they could have done better and I could have done better. But all in all, I realized that what it really came down to is that, was I even capable of being what they needed? And I was starting to realize that they weren't capable of being what I needed. So then what started happening is I started realizing, do I even know what I need, and what I want and what I desire? So the last 2 years, plus has been a self-discovery and understanding more about myself. And instead of blaming the men for who they were, looking more, to why did you choose them? Or why did they, why were they drawn in your space? And what can you do, Diana, to make better choices, better decisions, so you won't continue the cycle? Because we all get caught up in, I believe, in a cycle. It's kind of determining, is it a good cycle? Or is it a bad cycle? I tried to get away from making what I considered bad cycle choices into making better cycle choices. And I do want to mention this because of the changes that I made in my mindset, my understanding, and also really just believing in the core that there were great men out there and there were great women out there. That I used to be one of those women that used to say, oh, there's no great men out there. There's no more men out there. They're not good. Oh, I was one of them years ago. I was one of them.
Okay. Today,
Ronnie, oh no, I meet great men every damn day. Great men, good looking men. Got their shit together. I meet these men every day, but it still doesn't mean we're compatible. It doesn't mean, it doesn't mean I'm not a great woman, but, again, it's finding that compatibility. So those are a lot of the reasons or the stages I had to go through within myself, again, that didn't make me bitter towards other people, but instead made me a better person.
Wow. That is a word. Now, again, so just for the record, for those of you who follow me on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, I'm not the only one that believes that there are good men and good women out there. So you've heard just yet another person. And I'm telling you, this is something that I'm going to be playing over and over and over for many of my guests that believe the same thing. Now, I'm going to not more so switch the subject, but before I really dive into asking you about the show and this very special launch show that you have coming up this Saturday, I want to talk, or if you could just share briefly, because it's obvious for people that are listening that you do believe in God and He plays a role in your life as well as your relationship. So could you just, for those that are out there, for all the sisters and brothers that every Sunday, that or every other day that are praying to the Lord above about finding an apartment, what role does God play in your life and in your relationships for you, Diana?
Well, the debut of the show, I am interviewing a dynamic couple, and the topic is sex, masturbation, and the church. Now, of course, that's shocking for many people because they're like, first of all, how dare you put masturbation, sex, and church in the same sentence? But again, this is one of the reasons I did this platform, because again, who made sex? And where did we get the ability to even have the feeling or the understanding of wanting to masturbate? You know, it's funny to me when we as creation think that we're so much more intelligent than the creator. Okay. And for some reason we know more about ourselves than he knows, or how we work or function than he knows. But to answer your question, the reason I do have some credibility behind me in order to speak on a subject that deals with the church is I am a PK. And for, a lot of people in the church world, I'm a preacher's kid. Now, I ain't no typical preacher's kid now. I mean, my father, who unfortunately recently passed July of this year, 2020, he was my spiritual root and foundation and even understanding of God. And my father, was saved at a very young age. He was the epitome of a bad boy, coming to church and, he, after becoming saved at a young age, he was so passionate about God, so passionate and so gifted in so many ways in his speaking and his, different gifts that these gifts took him all over. We traveled quite a bit throughout the Caribbean, where my father is from. My father is from Trinidad. My mother is from St. Lucia. So, and I grew up in Trinidad. So my roots are from the Caribbean. And my parents moved my sister and myself back to the U.S. When we were around 17 to go to college, All Roberts University, and that's another show. but that's where. So when I tell you that I grew up in the church, I mean, you're talking. I grew up in the falling out. Let's grab the blanket and put it over her, because her skirt's too short, to the tongue talking, to the oil dripping down your forehead.
Okay. Wow.
I am and will always be a preacher's kid. I grew up in the church, been to almost every denomination in my father's travels, from Catholic to Pentecostal. I mean, you name it. Most of my spiritual education came from those experiences, understanding people's different belief and understanding their tradition, what they thought that they should do. So I grew up in a very strict home, and that is where my spiritual root came from.
Okay.
And it remained with me, and it never was taken away from me. It just grew stronger within me. And it really is the core of who I am and how I make my choices and decisions in life. However, a lot of people may judge me because I don't fall into the traditional way that people title, I guess, the average believer,
Okay.
So hopefully I answered your question.
No,
You know me, Ronnie. I can keep going on
yeah,
and
no,
on and
no.
on.
You more than answered. No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that, letting everybody know the journey, because I'm sure when they see the show, and ladies and gentlemen, let me, in full disclosure, I got to see the show in its entirety, and I already know.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I already know, and without hyping it up, I have to say that, this is going to be a show of shows. I cannot recall, and that's not to say it doesn't exist somewhere in the universe, but upon looking at footage of Michael and Connie and other, talks that they've had, they go to a depth that I think so many people miss out, especially when we're talking about something like sex, and even then, masturbation. Now wrap that into how that is in the church. It's just in the mindset and the thought process. To me, it was just profound. And so just on that alone, you just have to see for yourself. I mean, we can talk about the show all day long, all night long, but it's really not going to do it justice. You really have to see the intensity and the passion in which these people, and coming from a place of love and education, it's really a beautiful show. So let me just on that subject, Diana, I'm sure this is something in your journey as a PK kid. This was something that you may have thought about in your life moving forward. So what made you decide that this was going to be the very first show that you decided to do?
To be honest, I didn't decide.
Okay.
It really, I guess society would say it fell in my lap.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I don't believe in things falling in your lap. I believe everything happened for a purpose and a reason, because again, it's connected back to our Creator.
Okay.
So, one event took place after another, and this particular couple that I interviewed, again, society or people would probably look at this couple and say, what can they teach me?
Right. Well, those were my thoughts exactly. Trust me.
Yeah. So. What can they teach me? But it's amazing, who the Creator will use. And I think it's even more powerful when I think it's purposeful, to be honest with you. We kind of see that again throughout stories in the Bible where the Creator will use, I think purposefully, people that that society would say, no, they don't fit that category. And I think it's his way of saying, you're not the decision maker, even though little mind you think you are.
Exactly.
And, he puts people in positions that society says they can't do this. They don't know about this. They wouldn't know about this. And then all of a sudden they open their mouth and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
And knowing this couple for the last, following they are, let me say, global. And when I say global, I mean global speakers, ministers, book authors. But part of their ministry is talking about the dynamics of who we are as sexual beings in a church world. And again, it could not have been, I couldn't have thought of a more perfect connection, because again, this is what I wanted on the platform. I wanted to talk about all the things that I had questions about, that I questioned, growing up in the church, and, but no one would answer the question. No one, there was no one to go to, and I couldn't talk to my parents. I mean, our age group, we couldn't go to our parents.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we didn't even talk about periods. It was auntie coming to visit. You couldn't even talk about periods. And, you either grew up in a home that your parents, if they saw you playing or touching that area, that either slap you on your hand and say no, most of the time. So we just kind of grew up with all different kinds of, in our minds, that things were taboo. But the more they were taboo for me, I was like, but I like that taboo. Does that mean I'm not a believer?
Right,
Does that mean I'm not a Christian? So I was led to these guests, and I don't even, like I said, the fact that they even, with excitement accepted the opportunity to be on my show, again, just told me, okay, this was definitely a bigger plan than me. But this couple really just touched on, and again, I asked the questions, as you know, Ronnie, because again, like you said, you saw the show, and I'm just going to give your audience just a little bit of how crazy I am, and and the type of questions that I did ask them. Hey, one of the questions, that a lot of us had, and some of us, had asked, and the church made fun of it, but they really never kind of expounded or went into depth scripturally about it. Is there going to be sex in heaven? Is there going to be sex in heaven? Did the Creator really have us down here having orgasms left and right, being excited? And I mean, if anything, sex has been, such a complicated thing between men and women, of all ages and all different types of situations, but we enjoy it so much, I mean, there's so many dynamics of what people will do to have sex.
Right.
So as powerful as this thing is, could the Creator really just give it to us here, and then we go, we move on to our final journey, and then He remove it? I mean, that's really depressing to think about, because I like sex, you like sex. Why are you going to give it to me here and then take it away?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, she's not going to answer the question, so you're going to have to tune into the show, because I know people are saying, hurry up and answer the question. I'm like, no.
But I will also say, too, part of the answer was interesting to me in regards to my guest's understanding of angels having penises. Now, like I said, you have to listen to the show, because there's just so many things that, again, listen, I'm not trying to hammer anybody over the head with any of the topics or the conversations of this show.
Okay.
What I'm trying, I'm not a coach. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. And I'm not a minister. I am none of those things. But this platform brings those type of people on the show. And we talk about things that we consider taboo or just don't talk about, like I said. And a lot of it, does relate to, has a spiritual root. But like I said, we talk about all different kinds of things. It just really is in the context of relationships between men and women.
Wow. You see, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who knows me, after listening to Diana, knows why we became the friends that we have, because of the depth of which we cover. And if you all really listen to us, and we have some future shows coming up where, Diana will cover a whole litany of subjects. And to me, one of the challenges that I see that is happening in the sphere today, be it at the, well, not you can say the water cooler now because people are working from home, but just in the terms of, if you look at social media, so many are speaking on such a surface level and wondering why they're having the challenges that they have. And, going back to Michael and Connie, that was what intrigued me, because if you went by sight only, the first thing again, because of whatever condition we all have had, or images are putting our brain, I'm looking at this couple going, okay, now, what could they possibly teach me? Or do they look like they're having? Okay, you know what? I'm going to remove any and all doubts, and I'm going to listen in. And again, to listen to these two go into these subjects with the depth that they did, to me was just, I'm listening to it now well over 10, 12 times. It was just, I kept repeating it. I'm writing notes. Again, when I look at the mentors and people that I listen to for my certification as a sex coach, it just added on to that. And just the fact that they were able to put that spiritual piece, which has always been a part of it, and I say to people that sex is not something you do, it's a place you go. And if you're wondering what that means, well, I've explained that in prior podcasts, but at the same time, I suggest you listen to them, and they will just take that to another level. And this show and this subject is yet another reason why you'll never hear me say that I'm an expert, because I never want to be perceived as someone who knows it all. I truly believe there's always something, another level of learning. And so I have been grateful to adapt that mindset very early on my journey in relationship coaching and dating coaching and sex coaching. This is something that, again, whether you are a churchgoer or not, is a show that I believe you listen to. If you have a significant other, sit down, grab your favorite beverage. Or in my case, I always tell people to take and have an adult beverage. Turn up the speakers and just listen. And listen to what they're happening, what they're sharing, and the questions, the depth of questions, Diana, that you ask, which I think is very, very important, because that brought that aspect of the conversation that I think needs to be had out. So, really, it's great. So let me ask you this very quickly too, because I meant to ask you this earlier. What does your audience look like? What are the ages? Who is the Balance with DianaJ audience?
Well, in the last 2+ years, as I started advertising and building this journey, because again, I didn't even know it was going to take 2 years. I thought, 90 days max, I'll be able to have a show out there.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
2 years later, and finally, I'm just days away from airing. But over the last couple plus years, I noticed the people that were being drawn to my page was a mixture. However, a large portion of them were Black men and Black women. And they were women and men in my what I would consider my age group, 45 and up. I mean, as old as 65 plus.
Mm.
But then a unusual dynamic happened that I did not anticipate. Is that all of a sudden in the last, I would say, maybe 90 days, as I started really getting ready to launch the show, younger people, started, responding. I get a lot of messages, and, I think a lot of it is, a lot of professionals. I have a lot of professionals. So, I'm in the professional world. I get it. You don't want people to think this of you. You don't want, why am I going to click on, I love that topic, masturbation and sex in the church.
Right.
Hard.
Okay.
I get it.
Right.
I get it. So, but one of my sons, who was 28 years old, I had him take a look at the show. To also see. And again, this show is without a doubt, parental guidance is advised. I cannot stress that enough. Mature audience only. The conversations are not pornographic, but they are graphic. And what is graphic? We say penis, we say nipple, we say clit. And it really just amazes me again, because they've become such taboo words that if you say it, people instantly judge you like, you're this too sexual person. Oh my God, we women got clits, men got penises, they got balls, they got. It's what we have. So anyway, I had found that, as this journey kept growing and I had my son look at it, he said to me, Mom, I'm telling you right now, my friends and stuff would love to watch this, because again, that age group, they're, trying to figure out their sexuality and what's going on in their lives. So to answer your question, Ronnie, I can never do it in short form. I always have to do it in long form. But recently, it has been the age group, I would say, 40 and up. But I have noticed now it seems like a younger audience is very intrigued also by having a better understanding of our sexuality and our spirituality.
Great. That's something that, again, and that's not to say that there aren't wise young men and women out there, but it amazes me as I look over the internet space of how many young, and when I say young, I mean these guys in their 20s, I'm like, wait a minute, do they even know what a mortgage is? How much life experience have they had? And they're speaking with such, so maybe, this was information that was passed down to them from, grandparents or parents or whatever, but I understand how, as I speak to people of our generation, Diana, where they really don't feel that they speak to them, and I'm sure they wouldn't, they mean well, but maybe, then again, maybe that is just their demographics amongst their age range. So it's just looking for people in our generation to speak to that and to speak to those concerns, as there are people that are getting back into the dating world, or those that are coping with divorce and hoping that they don't come out in an angry state, or a state where they are really discouraged against all men and against all women. So, to this show is just yet another level of adults. And I agree, ladies and gentlemen, put the kids to bed. This is, again, it's not pornographic, but there is some realness. There is some truth. There is some things that are, unfiltered, because some things I just don't feel we need to sugarcoat. We just need to really get straight to the matter at hand. And sometimes, and in those spaces, there are words that has to be used and spoken of. I mean, and I think we've earned the right to have lived this long to speak to that. So I appreciate you. Even if I was just meeting you yesterday and learning about your platform, it's definitely something that's it's needed. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a show to be watched and shared. So why don't you give us a little bit more detail, Diana, about the date, the time of the show?
Yeah, well, the show will be airing this Saturday, September 26th at 9 p.m. And the show, the talk show is a weekly show. So every Saturday at 9, they'll be able to watch on Facebook and YouTube at Balance with DianaJ. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube. And we're also going to be streaming it through Instagram. But it is a weekly show. Same time, same channel. Sound like Batman. Batman.
Now we're really aging ourselves now.
Hey, I told you, it's our age group, But yeah, so it's every Saturday, and I also want to let your audience know is that this interview that I had with this couple was so dynamic, so in depth, so raw. I couldn't do it in an hour episode or a 30-minute episode. Ronnie, I interviewed them for 3 hours nonstop. We sat there and we interviewed for 3 hours. And from the beginning to the end, it was just wow. So what ended up happening is that my manager, Bill Jolly, who is a 3-time Academy Award producer, music, and such a blessing on this journey for me. And he, said, we're going to make this a 3-part episode. And that's exactly what we did. We made it a 3-part episode. So the launch is actually going to be like a 3-week launch. So that's where we're at right now with the show.
Oh,
and it's Eastern time.
So it's going to be breaking up the 3 episodes. That's great. So people get a chance to digest each episode and getting what they need from. That's awesome. That is great.
Uh-huh.
I'm happy to hear that. Ladies and gentlemen, again, here we are, Saturday, September 26th, I believe it is.
September, yeah, this coming
9
Saturday.
9 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube. Okay, that's great. So again, tune in. For all of you who don't know, just go to Facebook, Balance with DianaJ, and look her up. Also, subscribe to her YouTube channel, Balance with DianaJ. The subscriptions mean a lot. So by all means, as well as when new shows come out, you'll be notified. So hit the like button, hit the subscription button. It is great information that I truly believe that you'd be hard-pressed not to find something of substance and value in yourself as a person dating, and as a person in a relationship. So Diana, I really truly thank you for this opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, Diana Joseph, Balance with DianaJ. My name is Ronnie Walker, resultswithronnie.com, Mr. Relationship Man. Also, you can go to my YouTube channel, Results with Ronnie Radio, and subscribe and like. This episode will be uploaded to the YouTube channel as well as to the Mr. Relationship podcast channel as well. Take a time and just show your support and love. And as this young lady here is launching something that is going to be of substance to many. So you can also find me, Ronnie Walker, on Facebook, official Ronnie Walker on Instagram. You could also subscribe to my Patreon page. And if you have any questions that you feel that, because I can assure you this is not going to be the last time that Diane and I speak. If you have some suggestions of things that you'd like us to talk about, because trust me, it's if you've heard us going, we're talking about depth and the between the laughs and the going back and forth. That is going to be another podcast that you're really going to get a kick out. So if you have any questions or suggestions, you could email me at ronnie@resultswithronnie.com. Again, that's ronnie@resultswithronnie.com. Any questions, suggestions that you may have concerning this show, future shows, as well as something if you are not, if you would like me to forward to Diana, I'd be more than happy to do that. But again, I thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. I look forward to showcase. And again, this was a last minute special edition. And there'll be those that'll be coming out in the future like this. But I really, truly felt that this is something that I wanted to share with you all, to set your calendars in advance. So go right now to your phone, to your laptop, and put up September 26th, 9 p.m., and make sure you're tuned in to Balance with DianaJ. So, Diana, again, thank you. I honor you. I appreciate you. And I look forward to the continued success of your show.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. I appreciate you, my friend. I love you so much. And again, thank you for the opportunity to allow me in your podcast home with your podcast family. And I promise you all, tune in, and every episode gets a little bit more graphic and a little bit more interesting and a little bit more mouth dropping. So make sure that you watch every episode, and Ronnie can attest to that. He's just sworn to secrecy,
yes,
because it has to launch.
Yes, exactly. Well, I want to leave something suspense for this. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Diana. Thank you to all those that are listening in. Again, don't forget to show your love and support. And my name is Ronnie Walker. I am your master coach of exceptional relationships and sex. I look forward to speaking to you again. Have a wonderful evening. Talk to you soon.